class to put this on, especially with all that's taken place here, and she's handled it with wonderful presence about her, and she's put a great event together. So Barb, thank you for all the work you've done making this happen. As you look at what's happening in our state, we see so many people who are behaving with such courage. First off, to be at the steak pit with Jim and Jerry, and the thoughts that all the threats that have come in, all the people who have called and said, listen, I'm not going to come back to your restaurant if you hold this Lincoln Day dinner here tonight. And they never wavered. They let us come tonight. They never complained about it. And to see this place packed, I just think it's so important that those who have stood up and supported us, we do have to make sure we come back and support them. So make sure you, whether it's 1 or 10 more meals here in the future. You know, I don't know if you guys have seen on YouTube, but when the Assembly first passed Walker's bill, I was stunned when I watched it. I was flying back from D.C. and I pulled it up. You can get wireless on the plane, which is great. But I watched it on the plane, and to see all the Democrat senator or Assembly men and women in their orange shirts shouting shame, shame, shame at our Assembly men and women, I got to tell you what, that was disturbing. I don't think that's truly the behavior of those of us here in Wisconsin. And to be here with Roger, who had to put up with that, who had water thrown on him, and really the press never reported any of this. He has stood up against intense pressure and bullying. And Roger, you've done a fantastic job. I appreciate you standing up and supporting the taxpayers here in Wisconsin. And you know, I gotta say, Brian Miller hosting tonight's event, coming in from the school, wherever Brian is, he's not there, but to be he's at school. But to stand up at tonight's event and being a member of the school and come in and hosting our event, I thought was absolutely courageous and wonderful that he was here to be our host. And then I won't call out all you other union members who are here tonight, but I appreciate it that you're here, other teachers, other public employees who understand what Governor Walker's trying to do. Who understand he's not doing battle with our middle class or our workers. He's actually trying to save the middle class. He's trying to save what we have in this great state. And those union members who are here tonight, thank you for coming and being so respectful. We appreciate it. I was going to show you guys my voting card, which is actually your voting card, and just tell you quickly how I've used it differently. Here's what I use on your behalf when I'm in Washington. It's one of 435. We electronically vote. I can put it in any way, and I hit yay, nay, or present to represent you. When I first got there, I had the honor to introduce a resolution in the U.S. House to ban earmarks for 2 years. That resolution passed the House, which means if it passes the House, there's going to be no more earmarks. But then after that, we saw that President Obama came forward and said he also was going to ban earmarks. But I'm not going to hold my breath because he said that 2 years ago as well, and we still had earmarks. But then the Senate came forward as well and said they too are going to ban earmarks. So at least for 2 years, the earmark process is going to be dead. And just if you don't know, Congressman Obie approved of the earmark process. He was a big fan of it. He used it quite extensively. One of the first bills that I signed on to was a bill to defund Planned Parenthood. Woo! Yeah! Yeah! All of you here may not agree with that, but I don't think we should use federal taxpayer dollars to fund abortion, and they provide abortions with our money. That's why I voted, or signed on to the bill to defund Planned Parenthood. And finally, the first bill I introduced was one to send back to the federal treasury all unobligated stimulus money. This was the bill that Dave Obie authored. It was nearly $1 trillion in spending. There was a philosophy that government borrowing and spending was going to lead us back to economic prosperity, to growth. to sustainable jobs. And I think when it passed, all of us knew that that's not how you create jobs in America. It comes from the private sector. People who invest in their businesses and ideas. And from there, they expand and grow. That's how we create jobs here. And so I said, you know what? I am truly going to chart a different course. I want to send back all unobligated money. And I'm like, well, how much is that? And the answer I got was it's anywhere from $5 to $45 billion. Now, they can't tell me how much we have in unobligated stimulus money. Isn't that part of the problem? They got a $40 billion range. It's unacceptable. So, and right now it's in the continuing resolution, which is we're trying to fund the government for the rest of the year to October 1st. I've got that bill included in that continuing resolution. And the president knows it's there. So we're trying to spend the money as quickly as possible. So as quickly as we get the CR through, we'll save the American taxpayers anywhere from $5 to $45 billion. You know, quickly, I want to talk to you guys about what's going on in Washington. We all have heard a ton about what's happening in Wisconsin, but in Washington, we have a $14 trillion national debt. It's a $14 trillion national debt. It's slightly over $45,000 for every man, woman, and child. And I mean, newborn children come into the world on $45,000+. This year, we're on track to borrow $1.6 trillion, right? So we're going to add on another $1.6 trillion, and we have trillion-dollar deficits projected year over year, way out into the future. So right now, what we're trying to do is cut $61 billion out of the budget. We want to cut $61 billion. We are going to borrow this year $1.6 trillion. And the Democrats won't come on board. Their plan is to freeze spending at current levels. Now, if you recall, since 2008, there has been an absolute influx in spending. Non-defense discretionary spending has increased by 24%. If you add in the stimulus bill, it's by 84%. They want to cap it at these levels. We're going, let's cut it back to 2008 levels. Government ran fine at 08 levels, and we can't get an agreement on that. This debt truly is the biggest issue that faces this country. And I think if you look at our history, there's been challenges that every generation has had. It's, you look at the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the Great Depression, the World Wars, the Cold War. This debt crisis is the challenge of our generation. And we can fix it. We can actually address it head on. There are plans in place that take different paths to get to fiscal sustainability, but it's possible. But it's a closing window. Anyone who has debt, anyone who deals with debt, whether it's in their business or their personal lives, you see how it can consume you. We pay $200 billion a year in interest on our debt. We're printing money right now. You guys have heard of quantitative easing? We're buying $600 billion of our federal debt right now. This is the second time we've done that. If you don't think that printing money was at one point going to lead to inflation, and inflation brings higher interest rates, and when we pay higher interest rates on this debt, it becomes it's unmanageable. This truly is the issue that we have to face. We are mortgaging our future, our children's future, to China. Just to think back, in 1970, our public debt, 5% of our public debt was held by foreign countries in 1970. By 1990, 19% of our public debt was held by foreign countries. In 2010, 47%, almost 50% of our public debt is held by foreign countries. And then you go, if you're concerned about, we know about the Chinese pegging the yuan to the dollar, their currency doesn't fluctuate, and you wonder why we don't come out and say, and call them out and try to change it. We need them to buy our debt. If you wonder why we don't stand up to the Chinese government and say, listen, your policies with your dissidents, that you send them to work camps, that you torture, and you intimidate in your country, that we don't stand up and call them out for their human rights violations? Why is that? It's because we need them to buy our debt. That is a scary situation to leave off to our next generation. And yeah, you guys all know Paul Ryan, wonderful guy. He has a plan. There's others who also have plans, but if we don't deal with it soon, and I'm saying in the next, whether it's 4 to 5 years, it's going to get beyond us, and we're not going to be able to address it. So just foreshadowing for us to come out of Washington, but we are going to be dealing with the debt. We're going to deal with entitlements. They have to be reformed. And just so anyone who's 55 or older, all reforms are not going to deal with you. You're all fine. If you're 54 and younger, we're going to reform it and make it sustainable so everyone is going to get something out of Social Security and Medicare. But if I could just quickly go back, in closing, I think it's pretty amazing that we have almost 300 people at a Lincoln Day dinner in Bayfield County. Now, think back to October. The Democrats controlled the Assembly, the Senate, the governorship. They had 2 U.S. House seats, or 2 U.S. Senate seats, and they had 5 of our 8 U.S. House seats. On November 2nd, Republicans took control of the Assembly, they took control of the Senate, they took control of the governorship, they defeated Russ Feingold. Yeah. And we picked up 2 U.S. House seats. We had one of the most successful years of any other state in the country. And after November 2nd, people were looking at Wisconsin going, my goodness, what is going on there? This is remarkable. And then, well, we were blessed with our state chairman, Reince Priebus, right? He ran for the chairmanship of the RNC, and he won. So after Reince wins the RNC, we're sitting in Washington and on the floor of the House, and everyone's like, my goodness, you guys are really on the move there. This is great. Wisconsin and the Republican Party's on fire. We think of you as a deep blue state. You guys are turning red. This is fantastic. And then the Green Bay Packers won the Super Bowl. And they were like, oh my, Wisconsin's on fire. You guys don't stop. And then Scott Walker started with his reforms, and then there was a guy, we can't talk about Wisconsin. I've got a brother-in-law in Dubai who's calling me going, what's up with Wisconsin? So we truly are on the map. This is what it feels like to be in the majority. It's been a long time, but you know what? It's not over. As Bill Johnson mentioned, there's a long road ahead. We are in a very heated battle. It's important that we all come together, we unify, we work together, because if we don't, we're going to see this pendulum swing back the other way. We truly are fighting for the future of our country, the financial sustainability of our country, and we can't let it pass. So let's stand together. Let's continue onward, fighting the good fight. It has been great to be here. Thank you all very much. God bless.
I want to recognize, Sean brought up Brian Miller just a minute ago, and was our MC, but he's one of those teachers that really is an excellent teacher. Here he is, doing our Lincoln Day tonight, and he had to take time away to go and be the host and the speaker at the basketball game for the school. So he's one of those excellent teachers that